So right now I'm trying to beat Borderlands 2 at OP10 without going into fight for your life a single time. Considering the fact that that might take the rest of my mortal lifespan to do, I decided to do some ranking videos in the meantime. Or video. Maybe everyone hates this and I pretend it never happened and never do it again. Who knows? I'm starting with rocket launchers because they're the single greatest weapon type in Borderlands 2. Also, there's only 14 of them. There's something really satisfying about seeing the enemy, lining up a clean shot, and then blowing up everything within a 3-block radius of them because aiming is for cowards, and if the enemy has friends, I can kill them too without even knowing they're there. When I say ranking every launcher, I'm only talking about legendaries, pearls, uniques, etc. Basically, if it has red text, that's what I'm talking about. There's one exception, but we'll get to that. Here's the build I'm using if anyone's curious. I'm sure everyone is going to disagree with at least part of this list, so let me know in the comments where you disagree so I can call you dumb and make fun of you. Obviously, my opinion is the best opinion, and if you disagree with me, I'll cry. Typically, you want a launcher to deal massive damage in a large area. The problem is they usually shoot slow, reload even slower, and have piss ammo capacity. With maximum SDUs, you can only hold 33 rockets, so any decent launcher better make those count. The first launcher on this list absolutely does not make those count. Number 14 is the Ahab. It is the worst launcher in Borderlands 2. Even if it were the only launcher in the game, it'd still be the worst. Well, I guess that'd be true for anything. It could have taken one of the top spots because there's a mild game-breaking glitch you can do with it, but I'm not considering glitches to be a redeeming factor. So it earns last place by a decent margin. It's fittingly named after Captain Ahab, who tried and failed to kill Moby Dick in the famous book called... I don't remember. You'll certainly join him in failing to kill things if you try to use this launcher. It doesn't shoot particularly slow, the reload isn't bad, and the damage is definitely not small, but I'm sure you can see the issue. This isn't a rocket launcher, it's a harpoon launcher. You can pretty much only hit one thing at a time, which is the exact opposite of what you want from this thing. It wouldn't be a huge issue if the damage was insane, like how the fastball is a single target grenade that's actually really good. But no, the damage is piss. Also, it's a Seraph weapon, which means you have to fight raid bosses to get it. What an absolute joke of an item. Number 13 is the Bunny. This shit does no damage. That's it, nothing special about it. The fire rate is fine, the reload speed is pretty quick, and the mag size is okay, but the damage just isn't there. Reloading it makes it jump around laying down grenades, but it's more likely for this to kill you than it is to do anything useful. Also, the only thing that drops this is chubbies. It's like Gearbox hopes you'll never get it, so everyone will just forget it exists. The only reason it's higher than the Ahab is because it works from more than 4 feet away and you don't have to sell your soul to Randy to get one. Number 12. It's in the name. Yeah, the 12-pounder is just bad. The shots don't explode unless you force them down the throat of your enemy, so only a direct hit will do anything. And the accuracy isn't great. So it's just another launcher that feels bad to use outside of point-blank range. The damage is actually pretty good, so against big targets where accuracy isn't an issue, I could see it being used. But if you do actually use it, I'm still gonna point and laugh and call you mean names until you start using items that are generally considered to be good by the Hive mind, because playing off-meta is a sin and you should be ashamed of yourself for running any build that isn't Deputy Sal. But seriously, it's annoying that these projectiles just never stop rolling. Which is the name of the game that I'm making. Amazing segue, I know. That's right, this video's sponsored by me. A friend and I have been making a simple 2D platformer. A hurricane delayed the development a little bit, but the demo is available on Steam for free right now, so please check that out if you get the chance, and consider supporting us on Patreon. Links are in the description. Number 11 is the Nukem. Look, if Gasmask makes a challenge run out of an item, it's not making it very far in one of these lists. There's an exception, but it sure as hell isn't here. Now don't get me wrong, the Nukem isn't obscenely bad. We've actually gotten to the point of the list where everything is pretty usable, but out of the launchers that I'd actually use, the Nukem is bottom of the barrel. Let's talk about its strengths first. It's a gosh darn nuke. It does a lot of damage in a pretty big area. Now in Gasmask's video he struggled a lot, but I'm using an explosive relic and Battlefront, two things he chose not to use. So while he's walking around with his adorable little 12 kiloton atomic bomb, I'm out here with a 50 megaton nuclear warhead that's, you know, it's dealing okay damage. So don't let that video convince you that this launcher sucks. Let me do that for you. It shoots 2 ammo per shot, shoots slow as fuck, only has 2 shots in the mag if you're lucky, and takes 3 days to reload. It's usable, but oh my lord, you have to want to use this thing to make it work. Also, you get it from the Black Queen, who's a pain in the ass to farm. Just use Torg tokens if you want one. Number 10 is the Hive. I'm gonna be honest, the Hive kinda sucks. It can only be corrosive, but if you're locked into an element, corrosive isn't too bad. The child rockets it shoots out home in, so that's nice, but they don't deal nearly enough damage to justify consuming 4 ammo per shot. It is the least ammo efficient launcher, and it has no right to be. So why is it even number 10? Because you can do this. The bee shield applies to the child rockets, and the drunk effect from the grog nozzle turns it into an absolute swarm. The drunk beehive build takes this from bottom tier trash to please try this at least once. It's great. I mean, it sucks, but it's pretty fun. For number 9, we have the Pyrophobia. The fact that it can only be a fire weapon is a massive downside, since like half the enemies in the game resist fire, which only gets worse at higher levels, but against anything that doesn't resist fire, the enemies will be a pile of ash before you can even recover from the seizure you'll get from using this thing. Also, it does that. This thing will kill you if you're walking forward while you shoot it, if your fire rate is too fast, or if you're mean to it, I guess. Sometimes it just kills you. The best part is that the explosions don't count as a rocket, so an absorb shield won't save you like it normally would. Those things aside, this thing's great, and you can get it before you even rescue Roland in normal mode. But unless you're Krieg and you're used to that kind of thing, self-die shenanigans aren't for me, and the sheer number of fire-resistant enemies makes this thing situational at best. At least when they brought it back in the pre-sequel, they made it ice-flavored instead. Number 8 is the Great Value Bada Boom. The roaster is a solid launcher. The damage is decent, the AoE is a good size, the mag size is huge, the fire rate is solid, the reload speed isn't good, but that's fine. The biggest issue is this thing perpetually lives in the shadow of its big brother, the Bada Boom. It's like being the 4th Jonas brother. Did you know that there's a 4th Jonas brother? That is such a massive shadow to live in, but not as massive as the shadow of the Bada Boom. The roaster is amazing, but everything it can do, the Bada Boom can do better. Honestly, it's better than some of the launchers I put above it, but I can't justify putting it any higher when there's a clearly better, nearly identical alternative that's super easy to get. Number 7 is the Tunguska. I'm gonna be completely honest, this thing does not deserve to be number 7. It barely deserves to be in the top 10. The damage isn't great, and you're just as likely to get yourself killed as you are to hit every enemy on the map at once, because that's basically what it does. It's perfectly fine if you're in a massive open area, and Borderlands 2 is known for its massive open areas, but this thing is the only gun in the game that deals friendly fire damage, and that's hilarious! Wait for your friend to hop into a game and join on your max level character holding only a Tunguska and let them learn the fun way to always set their matchmaking to offline. Number 6 is the World Burn. It's the Nukem but better. It's locked into fire damage, which again sucks ass, but it just doesn't matter for the vast majority of enemies. Don't try to kill an ultimate badass loader with it, but other than that, you're not gonna struggle too much. Also, unlike the Nukem, it only consumes 1 ammo per shot. If it could be a different element, it'd be higher, but it's still solid. Number 5 is the Creamer. I'm sure a lot of people are surprised it's this far up on the list, and honestly, I kinda am too. The fact is, it does a lot of damage. And since it's a Moxie weapon, it heals you for 2% of the damage you deal while holding it. Now 2% might not sound like that much, and that's because it isn't. At OP 10, you're gonna go back to full health every time you hit something, but in normal mode, you might not feel it that much at all, a sentence that would make Moxie pretty disappointed. Now the reason it does so much damage is because the rocket explodes 3 times. The rocket splits into 2 rockets mid-air, so you get the damage of the split and the damage of the 2 rockets. If you get the spacing right, you can hit something with all 3 explosions and deal massive damage. It's not too hard to get the sweet spot, something that would make Moxie proud, but the skill and spacing required to use it to its full potential does hold it back a bit. A big problem with this is you can't really hit anything that's too far away. If it weren't for that, it'd be number 4. Also, you have to do the creature slaughter to get it. And yeah, fuck that. Number 4 is the Mongol. This thing is the reason the Ahab is in last place. Look at this damage. Okay, now look at this damage. Yeah, that's an issue. The Mongol can outclass almost any launcher in single target damage, multi-target damage, fire rate, reload speed, and it can be any element. It just has one minor drawback. 2 ammo per shot. Yeah, that's rough. Vladof launchers have a special effect where every third shot doesn't consume ammo, but the Mongol, for some reason, doesn't have that. You're gonna run out of ammo pretty gosh darn fast, especially with that fire rate and reload speed, but it has the potential to be one of the highest DPS weapons in the game, so it has more than earned 4th place. Alright, this is where I piss everyone off. There's no winning here. The top 3 was a toss-up, and it could have gone either way. Keep in mind this is just one guy's opinion, but based on how I was ranking these, number 3 is the Norfet. A lot of people are gonna say it should have been number 1, and if I were going based on just DPS, maybe it would be. But hear me out. The damage is insane, the AoE radius is massive, and if you're using a sham, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit yourself and get your ammo back, but not deal any damage to yourself because it has a radius where it just applies a harmless dot to you, and for some reason that still counts as rocket ammo. Sham fleeting is one of the best builds in the game, and it works on any character. The problem is, it consumes 3 ammo per shot. If you aren't using a sham, you're running out of ammo instantly. Items that require a specific build to use effectively automatically suffer for it in my eyes. Also, to get it, you have to either kill Vermivorous or Hyperius. Vermi has a piss low chance of even spawning and then has a 20% chance to drop it, and Hyperius only has a 1.67% chance to drop it. Getting this thing is such a pain in the ass that, like the vast majority of people, I've never gotten one. I've never even bothered to try. That level of fuckery can't possibly be higher than 3rd place. Number 2 is the Bada Boom. One of the only problems with this launcher is that there isn't anything in Borderlands called the Bada Bing. Come on, Gearbox, what are you guys even doing? This thing shoots 6 rockets at once, so even if you miss, you hit. It can be any element, it does massive damage, and most importantly, it only consumes 1 ammo per shot. You get it from King Mong, which makes it pretty easy to get, and if you have a low level one, you can rocket jump. It is everything you could possibly want from a launcher. So why is it only number 2? Because number 1 is the Topia. I said there was an exception, and this is it. The Topia isn't a red text item, so technically it shouldn't even be on the list at all, but it is so fucking good that I had to include it anyway. It shoots faster than anything on the list. It can out DPS any other launcher. It has Norfet level AoE size, and every 3rd shot is free. So you have to try to run out of ammo. It's a pain in the ass to get because the best way to get it is by farming chests over and over again, but you can get it as early as level 15 from the Snowman Train chest. This thing will shred through anything you throw at it. It's the perfect weapon to have for second wins, and also, Salvador can do this. There's a reason anyone doing a 1 life will spend hours farming for this thing multiple times in a single run. The reason is because it's really good. I don't know if I made that clear. But anyway, that's the list. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, or think I should never do one of these again. But if you think I should do more of these, let me know what item category I should do next. I'm thinking snipers, but I'm open to anything but pistols. There are 31 pistols, please don't make me do pistols.